Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Captain Jack's gonna go hit Pipeline. So we're at the big intersection just before Pipeline, and we kind of picked up a rider that was riding around. We said, come join us. He was heading on down, and he's like, yeah, I'll come join for a night ride. That sounds like a lot of fun. So this guy right here that's gonna be taking off in a second, off to my right, Justin, he's gonna take off, but he only has a stock beta headlight, whereas on my bike, I actually put in a LED H4 bulb. All you have to do is kind of sand it a little bit to be able to fit it in, and it will go right in, just a standard H4 LED bulb. So my light on the bike is very bright, and it cost me like 25 bucks, 30 bucks. So no fancy light kit on my beta, and it works fabulously. I also have a helmet light, which is just a bicycle light that's attached to my visor, but it works awesome too, especially for the slower stuff. You know, some people want really, really bright, which can be nice in the wide open areas, but not totally needed. Right now, there's still a little daylight, but it's getting dark, and as we're on Pipeline, it becomes pitch dark because we're on Pipeline for quite a while. It's wet out. It's not currently actively raining, and it's going to be nighttime, and it's just epic riding conditions. You got the puddles. You just, you know, it's great. The dirt is what they call hero dirt, which just means it's kind of like a pavement. It's almost like asphalt. You can just cruise. Of course, I start getting a little worried, so I kind of go my own speed. You ride your own ride. That's what you should be doing anyways. Some guys like to take bigger risks. I personally don't. You know, it's one of those, you know, risk versus reward, and I'm just like, you know, I don't want to get hurt. I just want to have fun. So I just kind of go at my own pace, which I think is pretty flowy. I keep moving. It's not like I stop or anything, other than when we group back up or when I have my little oopsie that you'll see in part 2 of this. It won't be in this part because this part is quite long. So I do apologize for the long video, but I wanted to show Pipeline because here's the video starting 2023, fresh in the season, you know, first whole video to show wear and stuff of the trail down the road. Right? And plus it kind of shows where some of the trees need to be cut further back and some of the work that needs to be done. Pipeline has been way overdue for some trail maintenance, to be honest. Way overdue. I think I said 3 years ago it needed trail maintenance. I don't know. I guess we can't get a group of people together. This is something in my backyard. I'm more than interested in going up there and using a shovel, pick, whatever, saw, and kind of fixing some of the areas and just make it a sustainable trail, because things are getting washed out. People did go over the embankment. It's just crazy. So here's the Pipeline. It's historic. It used to bring water down into Colorado Springs. It's a clay pipe, you know, with a glaze on it. I'm sure it's probably pretty slick. That's what I kept thinking while I'm riding. Roots and the pipe in this section. Like, okay, don't touch the pipe, watch out for roots, and watch out for anything that might be poking out of the trees that might take you out. Because, you know, I haven't been on this trail this season. This was my first outing on Pipeline, being at night/dusk. And, you know, I'm not familiar with it, and I run a lot of trails by memory, which is probably a horrible thing to do. But the more I ride a trail, I'm just riding by memory, and I get faster and faster because I know, oh, here's the turn, here's the rock I go over this way, or here's the log I go over, you know, etc., etc. And, you know, here there's exposure, and it gets worse later on for exposure. So, you know, you want to be careful. You don't want to be that guy that goes off. Man, we're having a great time, great group of people. It was amazing actually how many people showed up. I think it was a pretty good sized group considering it was nighttime, and of course the bigger the group, the longer it could take to regroup and, you know, get people through certain obstacles that might need help. I might not be a fast rider, but I can kind of keep my momentum going and be smooth and just keep going, right? As long as you keep going, sometimes the old saying is, you know, the turtle might win the race versus the hare, right? Because you're just going to keep on going, where the hare is going to use up all its energy and be tired and start slowing down and start taking breaks. I don't know. I just like going at a nice constant pace. I don't see this as a race. No trophy at the top, no prize money, no bragging rights. It's like, I just want to live at the end of the day. So, you know, I'm continuing up. It's pretty wet. It's definitely a little smoky / foggy. They said a lot of this was actually smoke versus fog, which I guess it could have been. I don't know. My nose still doesn't 100% work since the old woo, so it is what it is. I think it was some fog, and there might have been a smoke element to it. And then you have the side hill, you know, those are always crazy because these hard rains we've gotten, they can wash out and you have to kind of remake the side hill. We've seen that in the past on Captain Jack's, and you don't want to be the first person that has to go across it because it's as sketchy as can be. And you know, and it's a pretty tight single track, as you can see. Is by tight I mean like tire width, you know, it's not like an ATV trail. I don't think they ever used a trail dozer to put in pipeline. I think it's always been a real single track, so that's a bonus. You know, some of the spots where it has the pipe was obviously probably a little wider during the day because they actually use donkeys to bring those pipes in and lay the pipes. Imagine that hard work through this terrain, through these rocks. It's crazy to think that they did that, you know. And yeah, it's just crazy to think about that. And you know, cruising along, as you see, I'm just flowing right along here. I do have one guy behind me, and I will give a shout out to Dan, Vanessa, Mike, Brian T, the guy we picked up, Justin, you know, turned out to be a pretty cool guy. He's a good rider. I think he needs to upgrade his bike light. He knows that. And in the end, we end up having to loan him a helmet light, well, which we kind of rigged up because it wasn't really a helmet light. It was more like a handlebar light, and it was a spotlight. So even though he got that kind of rigged up, it was more of a spot, and it was kind of annoying. Justin blew by that, which is kind of easy to do as it's getting dark and it's a little foggy out. Well, here's the first water crossing you come to on pipeline. And it's flowing pretty good, as you can see. The water is flowing good. So as further you go down the mountain, obviously the more water there's going to be flowing. So we regroup right here. This is a good regrouping spot. And you know, the leader, the guy is leading, you just have to pick a spot to regroup occasionally. I might overdo that when I tend to lead the rides. I know that, but I do like to not have to go back to get people. So that's why I kind of regroup a lot more than less. But it's just a personal preference in how you lead a group. So not a big deal. We're all skilled riders. We all can get through this stuff. So that's really not an issue, although skilled riders can go down, which does occur in this video later on. And yeah, it's just one of those things, you know. We all can go down, so that's the thing. You don't want to have too big of a gap in between because, you know, it might be 30 minutes before somebody says, you know, I have to go back to check on so-and-so. Which we were almost at that point at one point, and it turned out, you know, his bike was overheating and what have you, but that's going to be in a different part. In this part, there's really no crash, but I'm just showing the trail, showing what it looks like, just so we have historical reference here to, hey, this is what the trail looks like. And then those people that want to see the trail at night and see what it's like when it's wet and as it gets dark, you know, what is this trail like? Can you ride it at night? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's a very interesting ride at night. I would highly recommend you to not necessarily try pipeline if your skills aren't there, but you know, go do just 665, the first trail from the trailhead up to high drive, and just see how you do. If you like it, if you like riding at night, test your equipment, test your bike's headlight, or put a different one in, test it out. Buy a helmet light, test it out. And I would say it's probably a good idea to have multiple good light sources. Like if I had to run just on the bike headlight, I could easily. I have my light on the visor, but you can't see that. You don't notice that, but yeah, it's on. So it's helping light up stuff also, which is, it's an LED, and I think it was like 80 bucks. I got it as a gift for a mountain bike I got, and I don't know, I guess my mother-in-law thought I was going to ride at night pedaling. No, that was never the plan. So, you know, it's a light I had laying around, that's why I used it, but it works really good to fit under the visor. There's other options that might cost the same or a little bit more that will really light things up. So what you really want is you want a light that can do a spot and a flood. So 2 different LEDs, that would work the best, because then you could have a spot when you need it, and you can use the flood when you rather have that to light up a whole area. You don't want a real pinpoint type light, because pinpoint, well, that doesn't do anyone any good, right? That's good for maybe walking around a parking lot at night at a campsite. It doesn't work good for out on the trail. You want to see what's around you. So you want more of a flood type light. And that goes for hiking, biking, anything, riding. I like to see what's around me. As you see with the bike headlight and light on my helmet, it's fine. I can see around. I'm recording, right? I mean, so it works pretty dang good, I think. And so I get up here, and you notice his beta up there. He's not throwing, you can't see any really light, and his headlight's on the bike. It's like really yellow, you know. It's probably like 1 candle power, and he says he can't see. So we get him hooked up. We skip ahead. Took a while to kind of zip tie on something. It's kind of pointing the wrong way. We don't know how it's going to work, but we had to make do with like a loner light, right? That if he wanted to continue, and he wanted to continue, especially with the light. Otherwise, he was thinking about he was just going to turn back, which probably would have been wise if we did not have the spare light, but Brian had a spare light, so got that hooked up, and you can see it's pointing off to the right there, right? And it's more of a spot, so he's still having trouble riding, and I think that's why he's staying slow, so I stay behind him, and he's kind of using my light more or less to ride this rocky, rooty terrain. But it's a new experience for a lot of people that haven't ridden at night, you know, but then they do it once and they're like, oh my God, it's so enjoyable out here. Like, there's no one out, it's quiet other than our bike engines, but you stop and it's just peaceful. It's peaceful, it's just interesting. It feels surreal, you know. I enjoy it a lot, and I think a lot of the guys that are getting into the night rides enjoy it. So we will be doing these a lot more. So if you want to go on a night ride, I would say check out the Facebook group Singletrack Squids, answer all the questions to get in, and yeah, get in the group and post up if you want to go for a night ride in where you have in mind, because we're willing to do various areas just to try it out at night, because it's a different experience. And as I said, it's kind of peaceful, and it was actually pretty nice out. It did get pretty nippy. I'm glad I had the Climb Stash like rain jacket on, which I was a little sweaty in it, but at the same time I stayed warm, I stayed comfy, and that's really important, right? For me, that was perfect, and I'm glad I put it on, because I debated whether to even have it, because I knew we'd be working hard, but it did get cold near the end of the ride. You know, we were out for like 3 or 4 hours. We didn't get home until like 1:30, but that's a whole another issue there. We had an hour and a half time of having a circumvent going around, because they closed the gate apparently on Gold Camp. So we had to go all the way around and out, which was a pain in the butt. Took a lot of time, especially with it was really foggy, moving inch by inch in the vehicles to get back out. You see, I just went kind of right up the middle. That's the best. I didn't give it enough power because, you know, people were up here, so I was a little worried about that. But hey, I made it up. You can see, I think that was Mike. Mike just cruised right up that. He actually did pretty dang good. I was actually surprised. He's a good rider. I'm not surprised about that. Just how he was angled and he went right on up. So it always shows that lines you don't think are possible can be possible. And Justin here, he had a little bit more trouble. He just, you know, it is what it is. He had to come back down. I think he reset a couple times. I did make a few edits in this, but yeah, he did really good. I mean, God, a guy we just met, you never know how that's going to turn out, and he's a really good rider, really friendly guy, and would glad to ride with him anytime. He's yeah, he's really friendly. So, you know, we got Brian up there kind of videoing people coming up this, which never looks steep when you're videoing up on top. And then I kind of just go around and boom, boom. That was my goal, get in that little trough and just ride it right on up. Hopefully you like this video. Stay well. Take care, my friends. Have a good one. Bye.